4 o'clock. We're going to start the Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting of May 17th. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes from the April 19th meeting? And seconded? Okay, thank you very much. The next meeting will be here on June 21st at 4 o'clock. First item on the agenda is the ICBC City of Richmond Road Improvement Program and Intersection Safety Camera Program for 2023, and that's an update. And Beth Enning is going to have a few words to tell us.
Madam Chair, nothing to add to the report. Happy to answer questions.
Okay, and do we have any questions? Oh, Councillor Wolf.
Thank you. Through the chair to staff, just one question, which may also come up with an added item that we had, right? We're adding.
Oh,
we add
my
3A?
apologies. Yeah, because it's not on here. Sorry, we're just going to add a 3A.
Traffic speed.
Hamilton childcare and the area's reduction of speed. That would be 3A. Is there any objections to that? Sorry. Thank you, Councillor Wolf.
Thanks. But in relation to this item, which kind of relates to that, under the attachment to the second page of it, or page 15, the second last item, there's a construction of pedestrian pathways, and the second bullet is Westminster Highway, Muir Road, to connect along Westminster Highway 150 meters east. With this funded project, I know it's the construction of the sidewalk, and that's where like parking is a premium in this area. It's one of the higher dense areas in Hamilton. I guess, is there any parking component to this? Like where, if we're getting ICBC funding and the city approves this as something we want, how are we addressing the concern from the neighborhood? I know there was a petition that was being floated for residents in this area. So I'm not sure if staff can comment on if there's some work or work related to the parking issue that's going to probably get worse if this project, if and when this project goes ahead.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, are you referring to the area that's along where the MUP is being built?
Yes.
So through the chair to Councillor Wolf, that area actually didn't have any parking previously. I know that came up with some of the neighborhood, but there were actually, it was signed as no parking through that entire area. So the parking has not been impacted by this project, and there is no plan to actually have parking along there.
So maybe we were talking of different parts on Westminster Highway, because this one here, the Westminster Highway and Muir Road, that's like the old Westminster Highway. You know, Westminster Highway. Yeah.
So you're talking about, through the chair to Councillor Wolf, you're talking about the fellow that came in that we have a referral for along Westminster Highway between the Choices School and?
Yes, that part.
Yeah, we're reviewing that at this point in time, and we'll bring that back to council when we have our report complete.
Then that's fine. Thank you.
Perfect. Are there any other questions or, oh, Councillor Heat?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll bring up my pet peeve, 5 in Cambie. I see you're looking at putting up a traffic camera at 5 in Cambie. Hopefully that'll coincide with the redoing of that particular intersection that we've been waiting for. And you know, weekly I get comments from the community with respect to when we're going to do it. And I know Mr. Irving has been very good in trying to update me on that. So I just wanted to make sure we don't go and spend $90,000 on something like that, and then we turn around and redo that entire intersection.
Through the chair to Councillor Heat, what we're doing here for the traffic signal is a separate project. That said, the infrastructure that we put in here can still be utilized when we go and upgrade that intersection, so it won't go to waste.
I'm just hoping that we don't install it and then have to uninstall it to redo that, because I'm sensing from what I'm learning is that they're going to have left turn lane, and they're going to purchase some property in that particular area in order to make that happen. I just hate to see us spend money on installing it and then all of a sudden we've got to take it down because you've got to do that entire intersection. Just you know, let's not waste whatever we have on that. because that's an intersection we want done.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't get an update from Mr. B about that, if there's, he looked like he was gesturing, he might know, or, yeah.
Yes, to the chair, update on number 5 Road and Cambie intersection improvement project. So we're working, as Councillor Heath mentioned, through some land acquisitions and as quickly as possible to expedite the construction. Hopefully, we can get the land sorted out and get some construction underway this summer, at least for the left turn lane portions of it. So that's fine. We're working as quickly as possible.
Be a welcome change. I know that a lot of people in that area really have a gridlock situation, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank
Chair.
you. And I just had a question of staff as well. I understand that back in 2019, we had like 2,000 tickets handed out, and I believe it was down to 671 last year. And so the traffic cameras, I believe, are working. Can you speak to that?
That's correct. That program was implemented by the province, administered through ICBC in 2019. Since then, it's been a few years, and we've collected quite a bit of data. And what it's shown is that the speed violations have significantly decreased over the past few years because of that implementation, and it has been successful.
That's great. That helps justify the program. All right, thank you very much. If there are no other questions, do I have a mover for the motion? And second, thank you very much. All those in favor? And those opposed? Good, that is passed. Item number 2 is the snow removal from priority multi-use pathway corridors. And this is a summary of the pilot initiative. And we have Suzanne Bycraft and Larry Ford here to answer our questions and maybe make some additional information.
Nothing further to add to the report, but we're here to answer any questions you have.
Okay.
Yes, Councillor Day, Madam Chair, I just wanted to note there was a separate memo that was presented and is on table today for your information in terms of the 2022-2023 winter summary.
Thank you. I think it was good, I asked for this memo to be added to our tables because it really shows just, how few actual really bad snowfall days that we have normally. Because this pilot project was to potentially do snow removal from multi-use pathways, but in the report you can see that it was not as easy as it sounds to do due to the narrow space. And that if we were to do a snow removal program on the multi-use pathways, it would add a 30% increase to the snow removal budget. Councillor Wolf, did you have a question or a comment?
Yes, a question. Thank you. Through you to staff. I know the pilot, which wasn't done on all multi-use pathways, just 2 of them were selected. And the pilot approach was to do multiple passes to treat it so that it would be snow-free. What about the potential to just go over once, just to remove the buildup of snow? The reason why I'm thinking this is because if there's a snowfall and it stays cold for a long time, and it gets colder, it gets really uneven. Whereas if we would at least do a single pass after a sizable snowfall, just to remove the large amount and then let the sunlight deal with melting the rest and letting people who are going to cycle anyway crunch it and take that on themselves, as opposed to like trying to perfect it and make it to the same level that we seek to have all of our arterial roads. Like, I'm just thinking what the pilot maybe was at a bit higher level with a bit more, or a bit maybe high expectation, where if we just did a single pass after the major snowfall, maybe that would be all that's needed for some multi-use pathways. Thoughts on that?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, the concern with that would be there really are no half measures when the city does this because of the liability that could attract. By just doing that single pass, we could actually create a more hazardous condition for those using that pathway, so staff would not recommend that.
Thank you. And we have Councillor Liu. Are we going to connect her, please? Okay, can you hear us, Councillor Liu?
Thanks.
Perfect. Go ahead and ask your question.
Through the chair to staff, thank you for this report. I'm curious though about like if we do one pass versus a bunch of passes, like if we did a regular road and did one pass and didn't get back to it for a long time, is there an increased liability for people walking on that? It's hard to understand that something isn't better than nothing.
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, just to give you an idea of what happened that particular week around just before Christmas. We got 8 centimeters of snow with -8. Then the next day, the temperatures dropped to -13. Then they dropped to -12. Then we got 24 centimeters of snow and the temperature was -8. And then 4 centimeters of snow and -8, 5 centimeters of snow and -6. It was in that period that I actually dispatched crews to try and get out there to give it a pass, and we ended up multiple passes with no avail. We actually ended up getting the grader out to try and do it, and we were able to get it. But then again, it snowed and it was back to square one again.
And Madam Chair, if I can just add in response to that, when we treat the arterial routes, we're actually pre-treating ahead of time. So we are creating a barrier to the ice buildup. So that is the difference between what we were able to do on the pilot versus what we normally do for the arterial routes that are in accordance with council's policy.
The main
Thank
arterial
you.
routes.
Follow-up question too then. So when we talk about on table 1, the preliminary expense cost for treatment of paved priority MUPs, you show the capital purchase of additional 1-ton truck, but if we just decided that that's not the ideal way of clearing it, like what's Vancouver doing for their Arbutus Greenway? That thing got cleared. So what are they doing and what's the cost of one of those? So it would be useful, I think, to see what the cost of that would be versus the 1-ton truck.
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, I did talk to Vancouver. They purchased a holder machine, which is around $165,000. They actually have 6 of those to maintain a steady pattern of treatment on their pathways.
Okay, and how many pathways are they doing? Like, is it costing them, is their price estimate $185 a kilometer?
They weren't willing to share that particular figure with me.
Okay,
Any other questions, Councillor Liu?
thank you. No?
Okay, Councillor Al?
Yeah, I just have one simple question. This pilot projects on the multi-use pathways, can you just refresh my memory? What do we do to the other bike lanes, like, the one on Granville? So what did we do to the snow on those bike lanes?
Through the chair to Councillor Lau, at this point, if it is a non-delineated bike lane, other than Granville, we will catch that with the regular plow and treatment with brine. At this point, we don't have any way to plow or clear those bike lanes once they become delineated because of the narrowness. We are purchasing a mini sweeper. The procurement has been difficult. I believe it will be here hopefully in the fall for the leaves. And we did purchase a snow blower attachment for that, a plow and a snow blower attachment for that mini sweeper, and we will be able to pick up those delineated bike lanes.
I see. So did we receive any complaints from bike users saying that, it's inconvenient for them? Did you get many complaints?
I don't believe we received any this year. I know some of the staff are cyclists, and they commented that they're actually going to leave their bikes at home during the -12, -13. But they didn't. However, we did make an effort to clear half of the bike lane, because the problem is once you plow the whole thing, you're either plowing it on the non-delineated bike lanes, you're plowing it back onto the citizen sidewalk.
Yes.
Which is not preferable at all. So we were actually trying to do half of it, just to give it at least 1.5 feet. But again, it sort of becomes I think somewhat perilous for the cyclists to be on that narrow stretch, closer to traffic.
Good, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Wolf, follow-up question?
Thanks. It was related to sweeping, but staff brought it up, so I thought maybe I can ask now. I've been following other municipalities that have like techniques to clean multi-use pathways or delineated bike lanes, and I was just following Chilliwack bought these little sweeper that can fit and do that. Do we have any at all right now? Any like narrow?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we do not.
Okay, and you mentioned that we're going to try and get a blower attachment for it. Is there attachments for plow equipment on those?
There is,
things?
yes, sir.
But we're not at this point going to.
Sorry, through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we are getting the plow attachment as well,
Oh,
but we are focusing on the removal of it. Because again, if you're plowing it, there's two directions that it's going to go. It's either going to go back out onto the roadway or onto the citizen's sidewalk, covering the catch basins and the drainage. So the plow, the snow blower in effect, we're actually getting, it's going to be, we have an extended arm. We're going to have a truck that is actually going to drive down the lane beside it, and we're going to blow it into the truck and take it somewhere to a park.
okay. So one follow-up through the chair then. I know there's lots of areas where there's curb or concrete barriers in between the bike lane or pedestrian walkway. The sweeper that we're going to purchase, it would deal with that, but would it also deal with the road? Like, can the sweeper also go on the side of the road? Because I'm finding there's a lot of areas that construction companies, I think, should be cleaning up after themselves, be it snow down on on the walkway in front of their place or dust and dirt at this time of year, but they're not cleaning it up. So I'm just trying to are we getting this equipment and the city paying for it because it's not being done by the private sector where they should be?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we're getting it because we need it, not because of the private sector issues. It will be licensed, it will be able to go on the roadway, and we can dispatch it to particular issues if we need to.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, Councillor Heed. Oops.
Yes, I don't want to get into the micro. I want to stay at least at the macro meso on this particular one. But look, as a committee and as a council, you know, if we think that this is something that we actually need, it's $400 and some odd thousand, that it's going to be borne by the taxpayer here in Richmond. So yes, we have increasing multi-use pathways, bike lanes and all that. So if we think this is something that our community want us to do, I think we have to seriously look at that and have an explanation when we start to look at our taxes for next year. And, you know, so whether it's, you know, Alexa brings up some concerns, Michael does, Shuck does, and I know I've talked to Bill and Andy about this too. So, you know, that's our job as council. If we think so, I don't need to say, I want to know what your sweepers, which way they're sweeping the dirt. I don't care about that. I think we've got to stick at the level of, if we think this is something that the people in Richmond want us to do, I think we should do it.
Okay. Well, the motion that's on the floor is to receive this for information. Are you wanting to amend that motion, or do you want to maybe?
At budget time.
Yeah, maybe, that's true.
You bring it
Councillor,
up at budget time.
we have the budget of what it would cost. It's 30% more of $1.4 million. So is that something we want to bring up at budget time so that we can decide whether that's a worthwhile expenditure?
I think absolutely we should, because that's going to be part of our decision-making at that time. So I encourage this to, you know, we receive this for information. We understand there's a cost factor here that'll be borne by the taxpayer. And if the taxpayer, we think that this is what we should have here in Richmond, I think it should come back as an issue at budget time for our snow removal, inclusive of everything else we do on snow removal.
Okay. Councillor McNulty?
Not a member of the committee, but just speak to it.
through you to staff, could request the staff give us a one-page brief on why we would, or how we could obtain it, when we could obtain it, and how we would use it as a priority. And then individual member, all of us, can put it forward when we start dealing with the budget in October. Let's put it back to staff and let staff come forward and get the data, and then we have it in our hand, same as we have with the snowfall. Then we decide whether we want to spend $500,000 and who it will be, how effective it will be. Like, if you have it, if you can only do 5 roads or whatever, or 50 roads, then we have it. So I know it's in there, but I think if you wish, you've got to give direction. You can give direction now, but it would be better to have further information from my perspective to put it on the table. I have no problem with it at all, myself personally, but there is a process we should follow.
And I have a question as well. Part of this is enforcement of requiring people to shovel the sidewalk and/or multi-use pathway in front of their houses and their businesses. How are we going to be dealing with enforcement?
The issue of the multi-use pathways is not currently included, but we are doing a review of the bylaw, which we will be bringing back before you at committee. We will look at how we can address the issue of those multi-use pathways that do front residential or commercial properties. In the case of the ones that we did the pilot, and those ones do not. They are the railway and Alderbridge, so those don't front. But we will be bringing forward the bylaw for your consideration of requiring additional requirements for property owners to clear areas in front of their home, and we can address that piece in that when we bring that forward.
And that wouldn't necessarily apply, though, to like railway corridor, for example, the bike pathway, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Ford, is part of the roadway. I mean, there's no delineators, there's no curbs, it's just, they just is part of normal business, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, perfect. I believe Councillor Liu has a second question here. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Liu.
Thank you, through you to, just as a general comment, actually. I agree with what Councillor Heed was saying. If we want to have it, we need to make sure it's on the budget. But question to staff, this was a pilot project. It happened this past winter. This current year, it's not approved to cover it. Is that correct? Because if we have another major snowfall event between now and the end of, and December 31st, does that mean our multi-use path isn't going to get cleared?
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, that is correct. It would not be done because it is not currently addressed in council policy for priority clearing of routes.
Okay, so I think we should move on doing something to make sure that if we do have a major snowfall event, and if other people agree that they think that it's important to clear these pieces of these areas of snow, that we should make sure that that's covered for this year, because we know last year at the end of November we had over 30 centimeters of snow, and it's sure the city did grind to a halt, and it was tough, and everybody had to work at it and everything else, but we need to determine who we're prioritizing and how we're prioritizing moving people around, and I think clearing some of our multi-use paths is one of our priorities.
All right, I want to refer to PWT 19 where staff, it says partial treatment as conducted in the pilot is not recommended since the pilot revealed that this can be tricky from a safety perspective. Can you elaborate on that?
Madam Chair, if we do some level of treatment, it would create an expectation for the public that the area is safe to use for pedestrians. And therefore, if we just did partial treatment and the people went out and there was an injury, these pathways, Mr. Ford could explain a little bit more, but sometimes there's little dips in them. They could have water buildup in them, and there could be areas where runners or bikers could think that it's safe and it's black ice, and there could be accidents that happen, and the city would take on liability associated with that. So our recommendation as staff is you either do it all the same way we treat major arterial routes, which includes pre-treatment and consistent application to ensure it is safe, or you don't do it.
Yeah, it's kind of all or nothing, isn't it? Yeah. Mr. Ford, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Through the chair, no, the one additional thing is, please consider the freeze-thaw cycle overnight, right? It can be 4 above it during the day and 4 below it at night. So whatever snow is on the side could quite easily melt back onto the pathway and freeze overnight, creating a black ice condition that the citizens certainly wouldn't be aware of, especially as Mrs. Bycraft said.
So
They're not expecting it.
No,
So
it's-
it is either an all or nothing.
And
in
the
my view.
reality is, how many people ride their bikes when it's -8 or 10 or 12? I mean, are the multi-use pathways or bike lanes used during those conditions?
Through the chair, staff don't know that to any degree. We just assume that they're not because they are not necessarily safe for that. I have observed people walking along these pathways in the snow, same as they would do on a sidewalk in winter conditions, but we don't know how many people would bike down them.
Okay, not to belay, okay, I guess Councillor Liu, one last question then?
Thank you. I don't think we're looking at necessarily making sure that it's going to be a smooth and steady bike path. We're making sure that we're opening up space for people to move around. You know, there's plenty of people who just need to get their dogs out and walk their kids to wherever. And maybe it's not going to be a perfect surface, but it's going to be way better than trying to flounder through a foot deep of snow. If you're trying to walk your dog or you're trying to do whatever, you know, certainly it's not a great idea to bike in the snow. I think most cyclists get that it's not a great idea to go biking in the snow. But especially in Richmond where we do have the freeze-thaw cycle, we're not Sweden, we don't have consistent, nice, firm, tacky snow that you can bike on. So, but I do think that opening up some of these routes and clearing them of snow so that people can access them, I think it makes sense. So I don't know if we maybe need a referral to get some legal advice to better understand this, because I think that it makes it sound too easy to not do it when we know people want to get out and move around, at least be able to walk and navigate some of these places, and they're trying to do it anyway.
All right, well, the motion on the table is to accept this report for information. It's May 17th, so we do have some time before our next anticipated snowfall. Do I have a mover for the motion? And second? Good. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that's passed. Thank you very much. Number 3 is the 2023 submission to the Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Fund for the Richmond Flood Protection Program. Very exciting. We're looking for 40% of the funding, which is going to come in at about $35.6 million. And I believe we have Mr. Sparrowland to talk to about us on this one.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nothing to add. Available for questions.
Yeah. So, Councillor Wolf, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, thanks. Just one question through you to staff. It mentions in the report, there's no map, but it mentions there's 4.6 kilometers of dike and the number 6 Road North Drainage Pump Station. So I know where the pump station is, but where's the 4.6 kilometers of dike that are being requested for the funds?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we do have some sections around Sea Island, a little bit around the Terra Nova area, and there's some stuff on the North Dike around Nelson to the train trestle.
North, okay. So it's little sections altogether combined to the 4.6 kilometers. Okay, great, thanks, that's all.
I think Councillor Wolf brings up a very good point that when this goes to council as a whole, there should be a map included that shows the areas that we're discussing in this report. Is that possible?
Through the chair, yes.
Good, perfect. Well, this is a very exciting opportunity for us to potentially get $35.6 million to upgrade 4.6 kilometers of dike. So let's hope that the application is passed and approved by I think it's the federal government, right? Yeah. So thank you very much. Are there any other questions on this? I have a motion to adopt. Second, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Good, thank you. So item 3A, which I thank Councillors Wolf and Councillors McNulty for bringing up. This is the Hamilton area near the child care known as Cranberry Child Care. The question is whether it would make sense to have a reduction of the speed limit along Westminster Highway because it's an unsafe area for people walking and biking and going to and from the child care. Councillor McNulty, did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I would, and although I can't make any resolution, but others can. It's the issue of reducing the speed in Hamilton on Westminster Highway. The area I'm suggesting is from the child care right to Windsor Court on Westminster Highway through the residential area, and have a referral to staff to reduce the speed limit from 50 to between 30 and 40 max. So there is a reduction because there is heavy traffic there. There are buses there. The roads are narrower. There are curbs on the south side. I was out there this afternoon again, watching buses scrape the south side. But more importantly, it's just like in the parking lot for shopping. For 20 meters, everybody has to gun it in that, and I think we could look at it. At least the motion I would suggest is to refer to staff to examine it and deal with the appropriate bodies to see a reduction in speed on it. I think a number of us have all had comments from residents, and we're getting more and more. And it's not just those along it, it's people who live in Hamilton and within the interior of Hamilton as well. It's a safety issue, in my opinion, because people are not necessarily Richmond drivers and they're not obeying the speed limit.
Okay, Councillor Wolf, did you want to speak to that item?
Yes, so I also feel like the whole area of Hamilton and the traffic safety plans need to be all in one place for residents and for us to know where different aspects of improvements are coming. Because I hear a lot from neighbors and individuals who emailed a number of us who are talking about little issues, but there's not like a place we can direct them that shows where all the improvements are happening. And for example, on Westminster Highway, there was this traffic calming, like somewhat of an odd-shaped island that just appeared one day in the middle of the road with no cones, no signage, and it was putting people right into the path of the sidewalk, which is not delineated in that area. So it was very concerning. I know not all of it's on the city because there's a number of projects that I'm learning are being built by the developers who have agreed to do it at some stage in front of their property or on the city side of the property. And in my 4+ years living in that area, it really feels like piecemeal, that there's lots of stakeholders involved with this. And then just another one that comes to mind here, and yes, I agree with Councillor McNulty, looking at, if not lowering the speed limit, using other traffic calming measures, something further. And the other part is where the old Westminster Highway has the T intersection with Westminster Highway. It's right at this hairpin turn. This is right directly across from the fire hall. If you know that road bend right in front of the fire hall. The city has just put in a straight asphalt trail from the bus stop to that hairpin turn. And so it makes it obvious that people are going to use it and then walk to McLean Park. But there's no crosswalk there. So we've just put in this infrastructure to put people in a dangerous position. And I see people hesitating. It's a bit of a blind corner because, again, parking is a premium. So people park the full length that you can park in that area. And so there's that aspect. There's unfinished curbs and sidewalk areas with sharp cages over rocks. There's just so much, I think, that still needs to be addressed. And if we could have a memo that addresses all the aspects of it and who's responsible for it and when they're all anticipated to come, I think it would help. the matter, and I think addressing or having the ask that council ask TransLink if we can reduce the speed limit. Then if we get granted the ability, then maybe we should do that temporarily, maybe permanently, or maybe partner it with other traffic calming measures.
Shall we have staff answer some of this? Maybe we can have staff come up and answer some of the concerns brought up by Councillor Wolf and Councillor McNulty. Oh, did you have a?
Yeah, if I may, thank you.
Sorry.
My intent is to give direction. I don't want answers tonight. I want direction, and I want a response back. And that's why I was hoping that somebody would move. There are two issues here. There's one, the one I brought up, and there's another one, which is Councillor Wolf's issue, which I think should be two different resolutions for direction on that. So I'm hoping that, and if not, I'll make the resolution on Monday, but that directs staff to look at reducing the speed on Westminster Highway from 30 to a minimum of 40, and any other traffic calming measures that can be done on the said area from the childcare area to Windsor Quarter, where Councillor Wolf was doing it. And that would be one resolution. I don't want to take anything away from Councillor Wolf's resolution, because I think it's equally important and a stronger one as well, and needs direction.
Okay, Councillor Heed, do you want to speak
I
to?
need somebody to move it.
Yeah.
Yes, I just want to make a comment here. I agree these are two separate issues. I thought maybe a motion is to reduce the speed limit. Councillor Wolf brings up do we want to look at traffic calming in general, not necessarily specific to the speed limit. It could be the speed limit. But are we looking at other traffic calming measures, which Mr. Bai, I know, is very, very familiar with in that area? As far as the construction that Councillor Wolf brings up with the jagged edges and all that, I think that's something that long-term, with all that transformation of that particular area, hopefully will be addressed by the engineering department. But I think we've got to consider what we want to do here, and I'm for... if one of us could make the motion, I could make it, that, staff, the referral to staff to look at traffic calming measures in the Hamilton area as described by Constable, or I was going to say Constable, Councillor Wolf. Absolutely, and I think that would include reducing the speed limit.
Yeah, it sounds like a better way to go at it. Yeah. Okay, did you want to speak first? I think Councillor Au would like to speak, and then we'll come back to your motion.
Well, I think this should be two separate motions, because there are different issues. And also, I think the issue with the daycare is much easier to address. And the study of the other issues might take some time. So I would like to see these two are being separated.
Separate motions. Yeah. All right, well...
And also, I want to ask a question. Do we know of any daycare centers in the city might have this kind of issue? It might be too close to an intersection or to a mall or whatever, that some people might feel that the safety of the kids might be compromised. Do we know of any other places like that?
Through the chair to Councillor Au, we know of lots of places where some people feel unsafe. Like certainly lots of times we'll go out and we'll measure and there aren't any actual technical issues, but still people maybe don't feel safe. So there's definitely a perception in some areas that they're not safe. And so we always do offer doing some sort of improvement. Like basically at the end of the day, if we find a technical problem, if we find an actual speeding problem like we did on Kittiwake, we'll bring forward a solution even if we can't get consensus from a neighborhood. However, in places where we maybe don't find that technical issue and the accident data doesn't support us having a mandate to go do something like that, we generally work with the neighborhood to try and find something the neighborhood has a consensus on that they feel will make their neighborhood more comfortable or make them feel better about those situations. My mandate or my authority to actually implement traffic calming is I require a majority of residents in an area to agree to a solution before I can implement them under my authority. Otherwise, we have to get council's authority. And that's where we saw we had to come back to you at Kittiwake, where we couldn't get that resolution, but we felt strongly that there was a real problem to solve. So the shorter answer to your question is yes, there's lots of places where some people feel that there's an issue, maybe not a majority of people.
Okay, so maybe we can start with this
What would your
Hamilton case.
comment be, Mr. B, regarding the Hamilton area? You've heard the comments from council. What are your thoughts?
Madam Chair, like my thoughts are that there's lots of evidence to suggest that lowering speed limits in neighborhoods, particularly residential streets, is a good idea. Certainly, Transport 2050 suggests that we do that as a region. I haven't seen anyone else in the region do that, and certainly Vision Zero suggests that we should reduce those speed limits to 30 kilometers an hour, because there's a sharp cutoff between the types of injuries that happen when cars are going 30 and below and above. So there's definitely something to that. Now, if you all recall, we did bring forward one neighborhood where people are actually only driving 30, and we still struggled to get everyone to agree that 30 was a good speed limit there. So I do think it would take some action from council to do that sort of thing. We have had some interest from some neighborhoods in reducing speed limits, but we haven't had a lot of follow-through in getting public support on that. So, certainly I'm not opposed to looking at reducing the speed limit on Westminster Highway or throughout Hamilton if that's what council would like to see. I don't think that it's a bad idea. I think that there's a lot of evidence to suggest that there's a lot of benefits to it, provided there's adequate enforcement resources, because certainly putting up a sign doesn't always yield the result that you would like. But I think it will be difficult to get a consensus from the neighborhood or residents on reducing that speed limit. So I do think it would take some direction from council to do that.
Okay, so it's been brought up that this is two different issues. We have the Cranberry childcare on Westminster Highway issue, and then we have the overall piecemeal of the upgrades and changes in Hamilton that Councillor Wolf brought up. What are your thoughts on those two separate areas? Do you think do you view it that way?
Yes, Madam Chair, I do. I think that they're two separate issues, though, like the speed issue may be in concert with the rest of it. Certainly I have some sympathy for the residents out in Hamilton, because some of the development processes have taken a long time and longer than we anticipated. And, certainly it's not coming together as quickly as we would like. So I do think that Councillor Wolf's comments are appropriate. But I don't know if cataloging them is going to help us. We can certainly do that and bring you a list of them. But we are actively trying to resolve all of those issues as we move forward as it is.
Okay. Well, is there anyone who wants to make a motion? Yep. Councillor Wolf.
All right, so I'll try and get two motions here, simply worded. The first one is to direct staff to catalog all traffic calming improvements in the Hamilton area and provide that as a memo or let's just leave it at that. Catalog all traffic calming projects in the Hamilton area and provide a memo.
Is that a referral or more of a direction?
That's a direction.
Madam Chair, if I may help on this a little bit, I think that maybe what we're looking for is to catalog all traffic improvements, not necessarily just traffic calming improvements. Traffic calming improvements would be considered things like speed bumps, maybe corner bulges that reduce speed and things like that. And from what I've heard in the dialogue this evening, I do feel that what you're really looking for is just a catalog of a number of improvement that's going on, the status that they're at, and potentially when they might be resolved.
Yeah, so replace that word then, so for traffic improvements.
Okay, so that's really more of a memo that you're looking for than an actual referral to staff. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the second one, a referral to staff to investigate the options to reduce the speed limit. I would like to say for all of Hamilton, but
Like the arterial roads?
I would say all of Hamilton. Yeah. And then if staff can come back and identify maybe just regions where it can be done, or we need further direction. I think that's the ask, is actually get
So your
full
referral
area.
is to, for staff to investigate the reduction of speed limits to all of Hamilton.
Because you're usually traveling there by highway, so you've just been going so fast. Or even on Westminster Highway where people complain now they
Let's
want
see
it to be
if we have a
slower.
seconder on that motion. Okay, second. Any discussion on that? Oh, so sorry. Counselor McNulty, I apologize.
I think we're missing, you're missing the point, but I can't do anything till Monday. My direction was to reduce the speed, not look at the options, et cetera, but to have a reduction in speed and forceful, and it be not a referral, but direction to do it and how it can be done, and that be brought back. I think we're going around the table here
Yeah.
on it, and I think we've also, to be quite frank with you, missed my, Councillor, this is just my opinion, missed his point. He asked for a traffic plan for Hamilton. I think we needed a traffic plan. I think it's much bigger. But, yeah, you're the committee, and I'll have to wait till Monday to give further direction if you don't get it from their Public Works.
It'll come to council on Monday anyhow, no matter what passes today. Councillor Heat?
Yeah, I'll get the turntable spinning a little quicker.
Yeah.
Up to 78, eh, instead of 33. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, it's your age, okay? Here is my concern with this, and, you know, I like the motion that Councillor Wolf is putting forward. The problem is, if we give direction on the reducing of speed right now, that is just going to be, you're going to get inundated with letters from people. You know, we already got it for reducing speed from 60 to 50. You've seen the emails we're getting with respect to that. You are going to get that regardless if they live in Hamilton or they live in Steveston and use that route. People are fundamentally against it. That's why I like the idea of cataloging and looking at those traffic improvements in that area. If we text it that way, we look at it that way versus giving directions, say, guess what? All of you people in Hamilton, we don't care, we're reducing your speed limit to 30K based on some global study or something like that. I think that's going to be problematic. So I would like to certainly endorse what Constable, or there was a Constable Wolf in Vancouver Police Department, okay? Councillor Wolf about cataloging the traffic improvements, and I think that could include what we're looking at with the speeds.
Just to be clear, I believe we made a direction to staff to catalog all traffic calming, and that doesn't, you know, that's just a direction to staff. And then the second one is an actual referral to investigate reducing the speed limit to all of Hamilton.
I think it was more than investigate. I think that we were talking about directing staff to reduce it. That I'm opposed to.
Yeah, that motion's not, that was a comment made by Councillor McNulty, but the motion is actually to investigate, because we can't, I would agree with you, I would not just direct staff to reduce the speed limit. That's not, we're not experts at that, they are. So we would want them to investigate the possibility of reducing the speed limit in Hamilton as opposed to just directing them to reduce the speed in Hamilton. I think that requires, you know, professionals to give us the correct advice.
And Madam Chair, I wouldn't like to separate those into two motions. I would like to have it as one motion, as Councillor Wolf made earlier.
Okay, well, let's hear from Councillor Au, and then we'll think about your amendment.
Well, I mean, again, I would like to see that, because taking a survey or a study of the whole Hamilton area will take some time. But I think we have an immediate concern. And I don't know if, I don't want to have another motion, but I don't know if staff can really come back with a particular memo on addressing that issue. Either there's a problem, or there's no problem, or, there are different ways to address the issue. So I don't know what staff's perspective is. Do you want a special motion to ask for that, or you think, a memo can come back sooner, with the context, within the context of the larger motion?
Through the chair to Councillor Au, I think really what council wants is up to you guys. The way staff would approach reducing the speed limit across Steveston is to likely do a public survey, find out how
Hamilton?
people out there feel about that. We'd probably also perform a number of speed studies to find out if there's a real speeding problem. We've done a number of speed studies on Westminster Highway where we've determined that there isn't a particular speeding problem there. So clearly, there's a perception that 50 kilometers an hour is too fast, right? So I don't disagree with reducing the speed limit, but we would generally like to find out how the public feels about that before we do that, so we can bring that forward to council for an informed decision at the end of the day.
So I would move a motion to have a speed study.
Well, we still got a motion on the
Okay?
table that was seconded. So just to be clear, right now we have a direction to staff to catalog all the traffic calming measures in Hamilton. We could do another direction to staff to bring back immediate concerns for the child care known as Cranberry. But right now, on the table, we have a referral that staff investigate reducing the speed limit to all areas or all of Hamilton. Do we want to amend that, or do you want to go ahead and vote on that? Any amendments, any changes? Okay, well then, can I, since that's been moved and seconded, can I have all those in favor of the motion? Okay, those opposed? Okay, so that's passes with Councillor Heed opposed. Now, in
It's on
turn,
the motion?
yeah,
that
motion
we
by
direct
Councillor.
staff to have a speed study at the particular location of this.
Okay, you want a referral to look specifically at the Cranberry Child Care and the possibility of reducing the speed limit there. So referral, not a direction.
What we call it.
Yeah.
What we just had, I thought related to the speed.
Yeah, so the referral that was passed was that staff investigate reducing speed to limit to all of Hamilton.
I thought we were talking about the motion, okay. Originally, we were talking about the motion that Councillor Wolf brought forward on cataloging the traffic improvements. Are we bringing that back as a motion?
That was a direction to staff to come back with a catalog of all traffic calming measures in Hamilton.
And we passed that?
Well, we don't have to vote on a direction. So that's going to come back. And then the referral on the speed limits in Hamilton will come back in time. But now Councillor Au is making another motion that we have an immediate concern regarding the Cranberry Child Care on Westminster Highway. And so he's making a motion that we deal with that quickly because it's of an urgent matter. Is that, got that right?
Yes, you got it right.
Okay, so that's Councillor Au's motion. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Wolf. Do we have any questions on that? Sorry, let me get you on.
Through the chair to staff, just to clarify, I heard you say that you had done speed studies already on Westminster Highway, so could we use the data from that? So is it already done?
Through Chair to Councillor Wolf, we have done speed studies, but they've actually been further to the south, or the south, I guess that's southeast of the Cranberry Childcare. To be honest, I don't need a referral to do a speed study in front of the Cranberry. I'm happy to go do that just because you've requested it. We do these all the time. It's not a big deal, and certainly we can go do that as part of our daily tasks.
So we can make that a simple direction, and then we don't have to put it through council on Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's only if we want to do something there, like reduce the speed limit, because reducing the speed limit does require a bylaw change, which will require direction from council at that point in time. But things like speed bumps and things like that, if everyone else agrees in the neighborhood on them, then that's something I can do at my own
So that's
discretion.
another level then. Okay, Councillor Heed.
You just clarified, because we don't have to go motion after motion after motion. Mr. Bai has said that he can do that with his authority, and I think we just
So Councillor,
leave him do that. I don't think we have to have a motion.
yeah, so Councillor Au, do you want to remove that?
That was exactly the question I asked earlier. I said, do I need a motion to do that, right? So I'm happy that if this can be done without a motion, I'm going to withdraw the motion.
Okay, so we'll withdraw the motion and instead make it a direction that the immediate concern of the Cranberry childcare be addressed through a traffic study. And we don't need to vote on that, that's just a direction, right?
The chair, I think doing a speed study is different than addressing the issue.
Yeah.
Right? And so I can certainly do a speed study without any direction. I can't tell you at this point in time, without having looked at it, what the actual remedy will be for an issue if we do find it will be. So, I think if I can be so bold as to say that I think we're happy to go out and have a look at it and bring that back to council and determine if any further action is required at this point in time. But I'd suggest that as we look at the broader Hamilton area and the thoughts on speed reduction and things like that, it could be a fairly package deal for the whole thing. Like, I don't know that at the end of the day, certainly if we find something dramatic and problematic in front of the Cranberry childcare, we'll address it as quickly as possible, but, and we would do that anyway without direction from council. But I would suggest that any of the remedies that we're talking about here would be part of a larger package for all of Hamilton.
Okay, so I think we're all happy on that. Councillor Wolf, some final comments?
Just to go back to our item 1 on the agenda, the list of 2022 road improvement projects with the ICBC funding, one of them was a speed reader board just north of the Cranberry daycare. So perhaps the data from that, or that could even be towed a little bit closer to Cranberry daycare, might even get some more immediate effect as well. Just throwing that out there.
There is a speed reader board out there, but I think it's to the south. I'm not, I can go out and check, but I could be wrong about that.
Closer
but
to
we
the
can check.
north, to the Hamilton Transit Center.
Well, I think great discussion. Obviously, everybody cares a lot about the Hamilton area, and I look forward to those two directions coming back so that we can learn more. And then the motion, the referral to investigate reducing speed in general in Hamilton will help us, again, understand what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. It's difficult with so much construction in that area, and like you mentioned earlier, Mr. B, that it's not happening as fast as we would like in terms of the traffic issues. And maybe that's something we need to follow up with planning staff or bylaws and just, see what's the holdup. It's got to be a good reason. All right, so that takes care of 3B. Managers' reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's an update through you to committee to share upcoming cycling events that will be happening in the city starting at the end of this month. From May 29th to June 4th, Hub Cycling is organized Go by Bike Week, and there will also be a celebration station that the city has sponsored that will take place on June 2nd, and it will be held at the Canada Line Bikeway near River Drive. And there will be a variety of cycling resources and activities available at that station. Concurrent with Go by Bike Week is also Bike to School Week. And there will be schools that will be registered, and students are encouraged to bike, roll, or walk to school during that week. And thirdly, on June 11th, the city will host our 21st annual Island City Bike Tour.
Oh.
So a few events to look forward to in the upcoming weeks.
Wow, sounds like this is the place to be. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Any other updates from managers? Ms. Bycroft?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. We wanted to just highlight that in honor of National Public Works Week, we held an open house event this past Saturday at the City Workshop. We had a number of activities for the residents to participate in, and it was a display of all the various types of infrastructure that we have at the city to help highlight those things that are normally hidden services. So it was very successful. We had about 4,000 people attend the event. We had over 350 volunteers, including staff, non-staff, and Hugh Boyd students that volunteered. We had a number of food vendors as well at the event. And we were very pleased that we welcomed so many people to that event. It was the first time we've been able to do this since 2019, first time in 3 years. The union also held a car show adjacent in Dover Park, and they had about 60 cars there. So this is the third of the different events we are doing. We had Project Wet that week as well on May 9th and 10th. On the 11th, we presented 2 scholarships to students who are pursuing the construction trades. We had the open house event, and then we're launching our virtual campaign as well this Sunday.
Wow, I bet there aren't many cities in Metro Vancouver that have all that going on. It makes the Workshop a happening place. Councillor Wolf?
Just a comment and then a question. I have to say it was a fantastic event with a near 4-year-old. She wasn't born during the last one, but we spent 3.5 hours there, and I couldn't believe how, like, basically every booth we went to, there was something for her to do, and there was older kids that were all so fully engaged with the booth, so really applaud the staff who made it interesting for the adults, but also something to attract the youth. It was just all around a tremendous experience, I thought, for myself and people I spoke with. My question was, could you still briefly elaborate the virtual program of what's being launched and what that will entail?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, the virtual program will launch this Sunday, and it will include some information that residents can see. It will point to our capital projects website, as well as it will show a video of a water main construction project underway. We will also have an article on there under our Community Connections feature, which takes the reader through the repair of a very difficult water main break under the Knight Street Bridge, and all the different factors that staff had to go through in order to facilitate that repair. So it's a number of those types of things that'll be on the virtual site.
Oh, it's fascinating. Do you link any of that to the Richmond Public Library? Because I could see library goers being quite intrigued by all that.
Madam Chair, we don't, but that is something we can take back and definitely work with the library on.
I think they'd love that. Okay, Councillor Hobbs.
Thanks, and through the chair, I just want to echo Councillor or Constable Wolf's comments that that was a fantastic event, and yeah, just acknowledging the amount of work it takes to put it together by staff and volunteers. It was wonderful. Those little backhoes, they had the 3 of them operating. The kids loved that and lined up forever for that. And yeah, we were down there with 5 grandchildren, and we left with 5, so that was good. It was really well done. It was just fantastic. So thanks to everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And please send our congratulations and thanks to staff, because 350 volunteers that it took to put this together, I think that's a significant amount. So our thanks from Richmond City Council.
We're happy to take that back. We'd also like to thank our partners. We had Fire Rescue there, RCMP there, Coast Guard, Parks Operations, so it was a really good event. So we're really grateful to all of them as well.
All right,
Thank you.
fabulous. Great news. Good work. All right, are there any other reports from managers?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just an update on the roadworks construction in the 11,000 block of Stevenson Highway. So it's between Shell Road and Coppersmith Place. The curb replacement works that are currently underway will be finished by the end of this week on Friday. And the repaving of this stretch is also scheduled for the summer. The schedule is to be determined, but it will take place at night to limit disruption to the traveling public. Thank you. I had a question. I live in that area, and boy, the traffic has been backed up while those curbs have been redone. They were necessary because? It is commonplace to replace the curbs as part of the repaving program to make sure that both the road grades work and drainage is functional once repaved. All right, yeah, well, I have noticed that the crews disappear just before rush hour, which is very much appreciated. So it's such a busy area of Richmond. Thank you for the great work.
All right, are there any other managers' reports? All right. Sorry, Councillor Wolf has a question.
So I know it wasn't on the agenda and there was no update on it, but the bus 480 issue, I know someone wanted to actually add it to the agenda today, but was told that the meeting was full. So does staff have an update on any potential discussion that we've had with TransLink to reinstate that bus? Or would adding it to the June agenda be appropriate? Maybe we'll have more info by then.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Wolf, no, we don't have any updates on the 480. As far as we know, it's still been canceled by TransLink. There is a fellow putting together a petition to try and reinstate it, try and get TransLink to reinstate it. That petition, he's still working on it, and we'll see what happens when he presents it to TransLink.
Okay, great, thank you. A follow-up, do you happen to know when he's planning to bring it to TransLink?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, no, I do not. I have been in communication with him. He had indicated that he wanted to have it done previously, but he has found additional partners in his petition process, so he's hoping to get an even larger number.
Great, I appreciate that, thank you very much. The second question I have, probably not for you, is related to May being Invasive Species Awareness Month. I'd just like to know if we have any updates from staff who are here in regards to what we're doing or what success we've had so far. I know the month isn't over yet, but is there opportunity for the public to be involved in any remaining invasive species removal? I know earlier we talked about traffic safety and out in Hamilton, there's a section where you actually have to walk out onto the roadway of Westminster Highway because blackberry is pushing you out there. And there's even a public sidewalk that you can't even use because there's blackberry coming from both sides. So, issues.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, staff can provide a memo on the activities. Offhand, I don't know. There's a number of them, including the station we've had at City Hall. There's a number of programs, and I think it's best to just list them through a memo.
Thank you. And then my last question, which might be for you, Mr. Russell. Ducklings just appeared this morning in my ditch, and I'm just, I probably assume that there's many more. We've had ducklings every year for the last 4 years in that ditch. Are we doing something to educate the public who have riparian areas on their property to look out for them? Or are we doing social media posts to remind people not to, or to slow down if they see ducks on the side of the road? Because there's going to be a whole lot of ducklings around the city in the next few weeks.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, I'm not aware of the past programs we've done, if at all, but I will look into that and we can provide that in the same memo.
Okay, thank you.
Is this more of a parks issue or a transportation issue?
I think it's multiple areas.
Both, huh?
Offhand, I don't know if there's a direct responsibility. It depends on where it is, I think, is the only response.
Well, thanks for any memo you gave us. We appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Having said all that, diversion, motion to adjourn. Second.
Move adjournment.
And those in favor? Those opposed?